Hamlet's on the other team. Good news is Tim's pretty terrible this game, so that's the truth.
Very proud. They played a very sharp, very on top of their game Eclipse today, and really excelled at nailing, unfortunately, 07. When they gave him that little bit of breathing room, he took it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Season 2, Day 4 of the Community WGLNA show. And I have Ted over there to my that direction over there. Yeah. How you doing, Ted?
I'm fine. I have no idea where I sit today, so I'm just going to cover bases. I'm doing pretty good. We had a good series of matches on Tuesday night. It was fun, tight in every match series, which is good. Even the 5-1, and we'll be going over that shortly. But a good night of matches. If you managed to tune in, you saw some good matches, and some of the offline matches I wish were online matches as well. So,
Oh yeah.
but let's jump right in and take a look at what happened. The first match of the evening was Aquatic M60s versus Eclipse. You called it 5-4. That's what the score was. You called it for Eclipse. I thought it would be closer to 5-2 or 5-1, thinking Eclipse would really want to lay down a marker. But what ended up happening, which was fascinating to me, is that only the defenders won throughout the whole match.
Really?
No attackers won at all. No, I thought it was fascinating because it shows that each team has an understanding of all the maps. It's not like one team going, this map is our map, and pushing the other one around. These are two closely, very highly competitive teams. So that it did not seem like there's a great gap that we've been seeing, say, when Apex plays other teams, except for Eclipse. So I thought that spoke really well of Aquatic M60s and also of their future for the rest of the season, that they were able to take defenses and hold them and manage to find ways to win. That being said, probably the funniest moment was in the pregame when they were doing the face-off, and Randall and
this. Yeah.
and Ricola asked, he asked both teams, each of their spokespersons, he asked, Mr. Man, what was your best map? And he said, well, they said probably Muravanka. And people being people came back with, oh, we are gods on proc. And then in the first match, they absolutely got demolished by Aquatic M60s. So there's been a memo joke, but apparently Aquatic M60 didn't get the memo. And this might even become a meme from what I've heard, but it was really well played. Everything that they must have studied film, they must have watched how Eclipse played and really did everything they needed to. In the end, they collapsed the pocket on top of them and had them coming from all angles. Really well played by Aquatic M60s. However, the second match with Eclipse defending, you suddenly had it reversed because Eclipse just cut them to shreds. Well played, smart moves, strong play by everybody. And apparently my phone's going off. Excuse me one second, guys. But when you're playing Eclipse, you have to be on top of your game. We went up to being 4-4, and by damage, Eclipse got to be the one to pick, and they chose Ghost. They had Ghost Town as the sudden death match, and they chose defense where they won. Really well played, good calling by Wally. There was a couple really tight moments there that you could tell Wally really had them tuned in really well. Mr. Man, Felix, and the rest of Morphic and the rest of Aquatic M60s have nothing to be ashamed of. And it makes their match tonight even more exciting. But we'll talk about that further in the show. We move on to the next match, the first offline match, which some people were surprised at. I don't get why they were surprised that you'd have a team like Valence and Top Tier. Valence went up 3-1 before Top Tier, 3-2, I believe. Top Tier came back and won it 5-3. Again, fantastic play by all of Top Tier. You had some standout moments by guys like, Spooky did great. G and the rest of them did good, but you had Delth really doing well, Mural doing really well, Zitz doing really well, Fixer Reloaded doing really well, Okako doing really well, Pompous doing really well. And then if you're wondering where the likes of Pompous is and other guys in the squad, he was down more in the middle. I had Pompous picked, but Spooky played well. But G-Forcer, who I really think is one of the underrated, really big talents.
Ever since Elevate, yeah.
He can call. He can do it all, and he's a really, really nice guy. But I think it was they might have said, okay, they looked at Pompous as a danger, but they didn't realize that the whole rest of that squad. Because if you look at top tier and say, well, who's the most dangerous guys? People would normally say Pompous
Mm-hmm.
and Mural, but Zitz, Fixer, it was a team effort, and boy, did it pay off for them. Congratulations on top tier. This puts them in a more positive position because I believe right now they stand at, let's see, top tier is in 3rd place. So well done,
Wow.
top tier. Yeah. So they're, because right now it runs Apex in 1st, Deja Vu in 2nd. Apex on 9 points, Deja Vu on 7, top tier on 6, Eclipse on 5, Aquatic M60s on 4, 07 Gaming 3, Valence on 2, and Rival Simple Tankers on 0. But let's get back to the matches from Tuesday night. It was fun. It was one that I wish was on because I would have loved to have seen those players really going at it toe to toe. But they still had a great match. And again, strong play from both teams. Neither team has anything to be upset about. And we move on to a match that a lot of people was afraid that would be a blowout, and that's Deja Vu versus Rival. It wasn't. Rival went right into it, played as hard as they could. You saw strong play by the whole entire teams. They ended up they were down 2-1, then they were up 3-2, and in the end, Deja Vu found a way to get the win. Another Dergil, Maktep Putin, and Milo Putin were the top 3 scorers for Deja Vu. Executus, Commander J, and Pub Whisperer stood for Rival. It's amazing to watch Rival come back. We forget Rival is a slow starter. They build momentum, and as
Right.
they build momentum, they can be highly dangerous. Deja Vu, this is good for them because it puts them in 2nd, like we just covered. But Deja Vu needs to continue to build this way. They're a fairly young team for the most part, with certain vets. Guys like Putin and Aggressor are great vets, and they're just going to help them in the future. But they need to keep this momentum going because then they can fall into that Eclipse-like momentum, like Eclipse did a few seasons ago when they showed up on the scene and ended up winning the title. But the benefit that Deja Vu has is they've had a season to go to the finals, to get 3rd place in the finals, which is pretty awesome. So that stands out, and I'm no longer feeling quite as hesitant to pick Deja Vu for fantasy now.
Right. Right.
Because we've heard a lot of different things. I'm glad to see Deja Vu do well, but at the same time, I'm really happy to see Rival Simple Tankers show back up and do a positive display, even if they lose, because that's the team that we remembered, one that just really pushes hard and does the best they can under those circumstances.
Now, one thing I'm not sorry to cut you off, but one
No.
thing I'm noticing here from Tuesday's matches, and all the way down here at the bottom when you have overall statistics, and I see Zukume played 1 match
Yep.
for Tesla, and he did pretty good for that 1 match.
You can't forget that Zakumi used to start for Simple Tankers. The reason he doesn't start now, as I understand it, is more to do with scheduling, not being able to make all the practices than for a talent issue. But he's always stayed loyal to Deja Vu. I mean, had he wanted to, many teams would have taken him, but he's part of that. Sorry, not Deja Vu. Simple Tankers has a really strong block of players that have always been around and always done well, and aren't afraid to, have it out with each other. But at the end of the day, they're a stronger team for it. So I'm not surprised that he did well, and I'd expect him to continue to do well. Will I pick him for fantasy if he does well this week? Because apparently he's starting this week, so we'll have to take a look at that. But on to the last match of the evening, which had some pretty fascinating moments in it. You had 07 versus Apex. This was everyone sees 5-1 and thinks it's a blowout. Was it a blowout? Yes, but it was pretty tight in points. In the end of the first match, there was 2 tanks left for Apex and 3 tanks left for Deja Vu. That swept around really quickly, and it was 1 versus 2. You saw some great play and setup by Apex. They really delivered when they needed to. That could have gone 1-0 07, and then you don't know what happened. The third match, the first match on Cliffs, was one of the more unique strategies that I've seen for a while. Because instead of playing the donut or playing the hill like we see, or going to brawl like we've seen happen many a time, they set up with 1 or 2 tripwires tanks just to let them know if Apex suddenly went on the attack. But then they pushed 4 tanks down the 1-2 line. that exposed. You know how teams set up now on the ridge.
Right.
Okay, they suddenly had to choose between engaging that tank by that western side of the donut or getting shot in the back. It caused movement. There were some takedowns. Really, Foster did a great job with this. I mean, and the whole tactical setup for those guys, they really, I think, did well and caught Apex out for a second, threw them. They ended up, that was one that was picked up by 07, and that was the last one they won, because after that, it's like Apex threw it to a different gear. And they were close, but not close enough for 07. Again, 07, they lost to the best team in the league. Again, I don't think they have anything to really be
No, I
to
mean,
beat themselves up over.
yeah, that one match that they won, it always shows that
Yeah.
you can beat Apex.
We can. Again, watching tape helps, and not only can they beat Apex, they did it in a way that I think is going to having the rest of the league thinking about that strategy for the future.
Oh, you
Because
know
it's-
they're going to be thinking about that strategy for the rest of the
Well,
year,
and not
especially
just-
teams like Aquatic M60s and Eclipse, who are
Or
vying
top tier.
or top tier, who are vying for that top spot. They're like, huh, this is a way. This is we found Apex's weakness
Yeah.
now.
Well, you can say they found their weakness, but this is Wally and comps that you're dealing with. They'll find a way. They'll play with that tactic against them and figure out a way to counter it in the future. That being said, if we put that in our back pocket as NA, as all the teams in the NA, perhaps it could be useful in the finals. You know, one of the grand finals or one of the international ones. So who knows? It's good to see development of strategy, and give it credit to 07 for pulling this up and making it work. Now, fantasy this week. How did you do, Tim? How many spots did you move up?
Quite a few actually. Let me pull that up. I went from like 600 something, I want to say, to I'm now at 364. I totally forget where I was last time.
Yeah. Well, you moved up. I moved from 454. I'm to 339, which I'm happy with right now. It's not a bad jump. I didn't have the best picks because I thought 07 would go longer versus Apex, but that being said, the top tier match did well for me versus Valence. We have a pretty interesting league right now that you're not completely out of it yet. We're not far off and along that the gaps are too big for people to make big jumps. Because there are a few people. Someone went from 722 to 200 something, which is awesome, and congratulations. But now it's time for the part of the show where Tim and I normally groan because he's currently climbing the rankings, unfortunately, and that is, where is Ute?
Dun dun dun.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
goodness.
jumped from 80th to 30th, and why he did that,
Ouch.
he nailed the fact that Eclipse and Aquatic M60s would go to 9. Congratulations, you well played. That's awesome for you. No, it is. I'd rather, it's best to. I want him to play at his top, so when I catch him and I beat him, he has no excuses. I'm challenging you as Tim's challenging people once per week. I'm challenging you for the whole season. My odds not good because you're one of the best fantasy pickers ever, and I'm not bad. I'm pretty decent. I knock on wood. Or in previous seasons I have been, but this is going to be a big challenge. But a few weeks, I just need to beat him a couple weeks and I can catch him up. And I think this week I have some pretty good ideas on that. And as we begin now to look at the matches that are coming up for
Well,
tonight.
first of all, I want to find out where some other people are. Make myself feel better.
as Tim goes to alleviate his suffering and pain at the
Mean had
moment.
militias in 409. Okay.
Yes, he is.
I'm ahead of him.
Mhm.
I'm gonna clip this and put it on Twitter for him to see. See this? I'm 364. You're 409.
Well, if you want, I mean, there's been some other people have been trolling him right now too, so I don't know if he needs that too much anyway. But for matches tonight,
he's gonna get it.
yeah, the first match of the evening tonight is Valence versus Rival, as Tim continues to look up and taunt other folks.
Racer, ironically, the guy who was in Fantasy 1v1 this week, he got barely, like, double digits more points than I did. He had 25150.
HAWK1941 join the server.
And I got 4295.
Wow, that is pretty tight.
Yep. And ironically, when I was at work, I had to be hold over for a double. Somebody on Tuesday. For some reasons I wasn't doing anything. Wasn't able to watch any matches till after I got home. But I found out later that I had the identical lineup as Ninja Gumby. And that actually kind of worked out for me. Or him, considering who copied who. I don't know.
Well, historically speaking, Ninja Gumby is a top 10 fantasy player. He's very, 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 very good. He understands the game really well. He understands which players to start and which not to. So, Tim, that's really good picks if you ended up matching up with him.
It did well for me, yeah.
Yeah, it did. It did. But now we look to tonight, because this is where you can catch up on the racers tonight, right?
Yeah.
So our first match of the evening is Valence versus Rival. This is going to be tight. This is going to be fun to watch. I think I currently am picking Spooky for Valence, and I'm picking Commander J for Rival. I'm only putting 2 players in here because there's other matches that I think have a possibility of going longer with greater points generated.
Oh, yes.
I may change this. I'm not sure yet. I think Commander J is a good bet on Rival because a team like Valence, we're going to see some slugfests. Strong play, but I believe we're going to see some slugfests, so that makes it exciting. What do you think this will be, Tim?
Oh, that's so hard to call. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a 5-3, and I really don't know which one's gonna pick it up because Rival they're their slow start, but they're gonna come back and pound Valence on the ground. That very well could happen.
It could happen, and I'm gonna get yelled at for this because I have friends on both teams. I have a tremendous respect for all the teams in WGLNA, but I know some teams a little bit better than others. I really have to say, I think this will be 5-4. I think I'm gonna stick with my rule of I need a team to win before I can really start picking them. I do. As horrible as that to say, you need a team to demonstrate that, and I love Rival to death. And Jay Smooth, if you're watching, big fan. But if I had to pick it, I'm going to go 5-4 for Valence. They have just as many experienced guys, maybe not as quite as long as in Tooth, but they do have the longest playing guy. He's played every season, and that in Static for Valence. So they have guys that have been around just as long as Rival has. So there's not. It's oh boy, this is one of the tightest matches out there. I might have to up this to 3 players, but right now I'm going to say 5-4 to Rival. And to Valence, and probably gonna get yelled at by Rival for that. But best luck, guys. Prove me wrong, please. Prove me wrong. I love exciting matches, as you know. But please prove me wrong. Otherwise, Valence, best of luck to both teams. And we move on to Aquatic M60s, who did so well against Eclipse, to face off against Apex in the first non-broadcast match.
I think that's gonna be close.
I don't know.
Your face just gave it all away.
It is. It's it's a very difficult call because studying tapes on Eclipse, you expect certain plays and certain things they do very well. I'll say it till the cows come home. Focus firing and timing and counterpunching is still Eclipse's game, even without Wally and Axe and Ox and Brett. They're still that team. They still find a way to suddenly get more guns on you, and you get whittled away suddenly very quickly. Apex is, and they proved themselves by beating them a small step ahead of that right now. Aquatic M60s comes across with strong aggression, some really sharp plays, good defenses, but I got to go with Apex, and I got to go 5-3. From Apex, let's see, who did I pick? I picked Ox Mathis. Primarily because I think he'll do really well in this sort of brawling mentality that Aquatic M60s brings. I didn't pick anyone from M60s because I'm saving up for some other games because I think they have a chance to generate more points. That could be a mistake. Guys, any match this week can be tight. It just can. But I've got to go Apex 5-3, 5-2. Wouldn't be surprised if it went to a tiebreaker, but this is Apex. They are that professional. They'll look at the matches of what happened versus Eclipse. They'll study the tape, and they'll begin to dissect what M60s did right and what they did wrong. I can't go against Apex. They're really tightly. They're playing in such a tight unit right now and so well. Credit to their teams. Credit to the again Wally and Comps and everyone else who's part of that strategy team for coming up with new ideas. I mean, what do you see it being, Tim?
I have to say a 5-3. There's no way they're going to 5-4. Watch them go to 5-4 and prove me wrong. But it also has the possibility of going low to 5-2.
Yep.
I'm definitely going to be putting probably 3 players in this match because simply due to the fact that even if they lose 5-3, they're going to be playing their hearts out.
That's true. See, my worry about this match is that Apex is going to roll them. They'll go up 2-0, and M60s won't be able to dig themselves out of that hole. When Apex gets ahead, it's demoralizing. If they take a 2-0 lead, you need a team that's has a history with them, such as Eclipse, to dig yourself out. That's the reason I'm not dumping a lot of players in that. But moving on to the next match, this is a fascinating match. This is Deja Vu versus Eclipse, and this is the second place team versus the fifth place team. The team that took third last in the WGLNA finals versus the team that took second. And here's an interesting note: they have not played each other since the regular season of last year. Because Deja Vu faced off against Apex at the live finals here when they were happened in Burbank. And since then, so they haven't had too much chance to look at each other. Tigers and the rest of Eclipse will have done their homework and
Yes, of
watched the
course.
tapes and everything. And Zim will have some ideas and tactics thrown out there. But this is going to be difficult because if Deja Vu wins, that almost makes them the de facto second team running for it. I mean, and that may sound presumptuous because it's such an early part of the season, but guys, this is match day 4. There's we're almost a fourth way through the season now. I think a little bit more than that. It's gonna be teams need to start making declarations of their intentions and show consistency. And I think Deja Vu versus Eclipse is a good match to go deep in if you want. I am going Bird and Fungus and My Little Putin, as well as Vetro. I'm going 3 players deep in this one, primarily just because I think this will go to 8 to 9 matches. This is a risk because Deja Vu could fold and Eclipse could run over him. I just can't see a team with Aggressor and Maktab Putin rolling over.
Right.
And that's with the strong leadership of Change and Chase Potato. But in the match, you can see that experience.
EMAN0814 disconnected
Aggressor
from the server.
may not have had the most points right now, but from what I've heard, we haven't had the chance to watch them play too much yet. He really shows up when he needs to show up in the battle, and that's experience, and that's being able to know what's happening during the battle, anticipate it, and then make yourself a valuable commodity for your team. But Tim, what do you see this match being? I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna go 5-4 for Deja Vu.
I'm gonna have to agree.
Tim, are you feeling well?
Yeah.
You're going against Eclipse.
No, I'm kidding. It's gonna be 5-4 for Eclipse.
Okay.
Eclipse has shown time and time again they may be beat by Apex, and so far I don't believe that's the only team that's beaten them.
Aquatic M60s beat them last season with essentially the same team that they have this season for the most part. Deja Vu, on the other hand, has held a climb because they've never beaten the top 3 teams that were around. They never beat Aquatic M60s last season, Eclipse, or Apex. They had a couple close run matches, 5-3s, I think, but they never beat them. So for them, this is doubly important because this secures them in second place if they get the win. And that's massive. Even 2 points would be, I think they'd happily take it.
Oh yeah.
And it would be their declaration of intent, which I mentioned before, of we're here and we're in this fight. And it would make their matches in the future against Apex even more intriguing and more interesting. So there's a lot of fun computations. But no, I'm going Deja Vu 5-4. Tim's going 5-4 for Eclipse. Either team could roll this. If a team rolls it, I would probably lay money. Eclipse will get a couple wins up, and then eventually pull it out. I could see that happening. But on a whole, I think Deja Vu, this is their night, and it's going to be really interesting to see how Eclipse responds to it. Then we move on to the last match of the evening: Top Tier versus 07. This is the third place team versus the team, I think 7th right now. 07 is in 7th. No, they're in 6th right now. They're on 3 points.
I know, the numbers are confusing, aren't they?
Yes. But this is an opportunity for Rude Awakening, and the rest of Top Tier to continue to gain on the second place team of Deja Vu. However, I really think 07, another slow starter historically, have a chance in this match. Not as much as previously, but I'm gonna say 5-3. I've got to go Top Tier winning. I think if you wanted to put some players in here, I'm going with Miro Scarata. I really like the way that he plays. I think he's aggressive enough. He always gets enough points. He's not playing a TD, so it's not that hit or miss that can happen with Pompous.
Right.
But I think as of right now, and I'll post mine up around 4 o'clock today when I finally lock in. But I think we're in for a really good fight, and we're in for some really exciting matches with Top Tier versus 07.
I think
What do
you're
you
right.
think, Tim?
Yeah. That's going to be. I have no idea where that could go. I don't think anybody really does. But that is going to determine where 07 stands for pretty much the rest of this first half of the season. Don't you agree?
Yes and no, because 07's got some matches coming up that they play Aquatic M60s. That's a rough one. But then they play Rival on the 26th. There are points available for them on the roster. Any points tonight would be a positive for them. Even if they lose in a sudden death, it would be positive. Can they put Top Tier on tilt? I don't see that happening. Not with Rude Awakening and the rest of those guys on that team. That's another really experienced team that's used to playing together. You got, the guys, Delth, Alkaku, Pampas, Zitz, Rude Awakening, Ex-Soldier, Alekukracha Sigia, who's actually Fixer Reloaded, Jojo, Jackie, Sublime Banana. These are all names that have been around the league for a while, and
Right.
they're tough. And as you has said, as well as I'll say, actually Randall has said, Rude Awakening would not have brought back the Top Tier name if he wasn't confident in the team he put together.
Absolutely, and that they've shown time and time again that they are serious.
Yep.
I mean, they beat Aquatic M60s 5-3, and if you beat Aquatic M60s 5-3 in the first day,
yeah, that was a good sign. That was strong. They only lost so far was to Deja Vu.
That was another 5-3. Oh,
it was a 5-3. But
I see a scoring pattern here.
Well, that's the only. Well, all their matches have ended at 5-3. But at least when they lost to Deja Vu 5-3, that was on the second match day. They beat Aquatic M60s on the first match day. Awesome. They beat Valence in a really hard fought match on Tuesday. They face 07. Let's see. Top Tier faces 07 tonight. Then they face. But then their challenges only get more difficult because Top Tier has to face Eclipse on the 24th, Tuesday of next week. And then, just so it's not any easier for them, they take on Apex on the 26th. And I am really interested because if they win the next 2 matches, that's going to be a main event battle right there.
Right.
Even if they win by sudden death overtime, that's going to be huge for them to take on Apex on that date. And it's a good day, Tim, because that's my birthday. So I'm going to be really excited for those matches on that night.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, no, it should be good. And I'm excited to see it. Now, what I'm also happy for is we get to see Top Tier play 07 on broadcast. Same way, this is the first time we get to see.
That's very important right there.
Absolutely. And we get to see Rival for the first time on broadcast this season. And I know it's the 4th match day, but I have a feeling we're going to see Rival a few more times before the end of this half of the season, and which is great because I think they'll probably show up at least one more night, if not 2, and we'll probably see them a lot more in the second half. But make sure you guys tune in because it's going to be an interesting night. Looking at the setup here, when you look at the teams that are playing tonight, you can go deep with Rival versus Valence if you want.
Right.
There's certain guys I'm choosing Spooky and Commander J because I think they both will generate points. Eclipse versus Deja Vu. Another one. I'm picking guys on both sides of that one. I think I'm going. I'm going My Little Putin in that one, and Bird and Fungus as well. On the other side, I'm going with Vetro. That's kind of my big push, if you will. Aquatic M60s versus Apex. That could go 7. I picked Oxmathus for that. I think it'll go 8. Tim and I have been talking about that, but we'll have to see 8 or 9. And then the top tier versus 07. And again, if you drop 4 players in any decided if you chose to drop 4 players, I would recommend it doing it either the Eclipse Deja Vu match or the Aquatic M60s Apex match. Would you agree with me, Tim?
Yes, and I'll probably do 4 on the Eclipse versus Deja Vu.
Okay. and that's, but at the same time, I can see Valence.
Watch me move up to number 30.
There we go. Just as long as you don't drop back to 300.
That'd be forward.
That would be bad. Guys, stranger things have happened. At one point, the last fantasy season, which wasn't last season, it was a previous season of that, I went from 63rd to 421 in one night.
What day was that?
Yeah, that was bad. But then I crawled my way back up, and I ended up getting 10th place, which I was pretty happy with. The thing is you're going to have bad nights in fantasy. Don't let it wreck you. Remember, even if you're out of the running, which no one is right now, I don't think you're going to be out of the running at least for another week and a half or so. Everyone should find ways to climb at least a little bit, especially people who watch our show. But when you can still, even if you haven't started playing yet, start playing fantasy because you can still win the weekly prizes, which are really, really nice.
Oh yes.
And
I haven't done that yet, but I've heard it's nice.
Well, I think you need to be close to the top 50, and neither one of us are there right now. I'm hoping at the rate that I'm going, if I can crack the top 200 tonight, I would be, knock on wood, I would be very, very happy. I know, Tim, you'd be happy to crack the 250, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And guys, it's anyone's ball game. Tim was in front of me at the beginning of the season. I've slowly flipped it around. But don't, one thing about the WGLNA is history is important, but it doesn't necessarily, make you points. So historically, I've done a little bit better than Tim. However, he's been learning, he's been studying, he's been keeping up with. There's a lot more information sources out here now than there has been before.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you guys check out Ultra Gumby's. I think he's in the forums now. They pinned it to the forums on which players to pick and everything like that. Or go over to Reddit and check out. There's all sorts of folks over there that have rosters and ideas over there, because we like it being competitive. It's more difficult, but it adds to the challenge. And I'd rather win or find my rightful place, regardless of what it is, with everyone else doing their best, than I would, take a top place because people don't know what's going on. That's just the way that I work. And I think Tim's the same. He wants the highest challenge level possible, right, Tim?
Oh yeah.
But it's make sure you guys tune in. And make sure next week we're still going to try to. We will be doing our show on Sunday. And Tim, you're still releasing that on Monday?
Yes.
Okay.
Monday evening, I believe. Today we're a little bit later than we usually are, but that was
due to work. I'm sorry, guys. Real life gets in the way. But make sure that when you're following us to check out, I will also be doing the recap, which is now pinned on the Go League. Look at tankwarroom.com. That's where we do the reviews at, which means in a week and a half or so, we're going to have a mid-season review up there, which I'll pound out for you guys, and hopefully maybe start linking here. Not sure on that yet. But just check out my reviews if you missed the matches, a little bit of insight. Hopefully you enjoy them. And let's see, anything else? Tim, can you let people know who the challenger will be for this coming week?
Challenging for this week is Racer. Challenging for the upcoming week is Lambo 805. Lambo had a family emergency, wasn't able to do everything, and yeah, I mean, if you got a reason, just I'll let you switch around. But yeah, Racer was a great pick. I can't wait to. He was one of the guys who won something last season, wasn't he? Type 59.
No, there weren't any prizes given away last season.
He won a must have been 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, 2 seasons ago. Yeah, he was competitive. I don't know if he won a 59 or not. I know it was from.
Yeah.
I think it was from 10th place to 30th place won it. So he had to be in the top in the top 30 to win, or maybe top 50. That'd be a question to ask him.
I think we was number 1 for the night.
Oh yeah, no, that's right. He was number 1 for the night. That's how he got it. Something else to remember, Tim. If someone wanted to challenge you, where would they go to throw down that gauntlet?
Oh boy! If you go to Twitter, you do at Thamlet Gaming. See right below my name, right there. How I spell my gamer tag, in-game name, almost everywhere. Yep. Ironically, at work too. That's how they picked that up. It's weird. it's on my badge at work. It's very weird.
If you want to call Tim out and have a chance to win some of his gold,
at Thamlet Gaming on Twitter, at Thamlet Gaming, and the hashtag Fantasy1v1 will add you to the list. So far, the list is not full yet for the season. Still have a chance.
So if say someone like, I don't know, Meathead would want to challenge you,
that works.
They would go up there, and I still have my big challenge for the season of taking on Ute. And the hard thing is it's nothing quite listening to Ute in your headset while the matches are going on, telling you that he's right.
Yeah, that's
that's something that's special. Let's phrase it. Church Lady Special from Saturday Night Live, if you're familiar with that sort of special. But guys, thank you so much for stopping by. We're a community show. We would not have a show without you, the community. So feel free to drop comments underneath our show right here. Drop them on the community WGLNA Twitter page, which Tim will have down here too, probably, right, Tim?
Yeah, and it's also linked to the show. If you go to Thamlet Gaming and at BTED72, see, I'm talking about this, and it's right above my head. Come on, Tim, get in the game. Our Twitters are right above our cameras right here.
Yep.
And
hey guys,
WGLNA show is all the way up there.
And follow us on Twitter. Become a part of our big community family of just fans of WGLNA, fans of tanks, fans of ships. We have all sorts of fans, folks.
Don't forget warplanes.
Yes, warplanes. And we're not just fans, we're a community of supporters. We enjoy supporting the teams, and that's something that I think the teams appreciate is their fans. So if you're a diehard WGLNA fan who's been around for years, welcome. If this is the first time you've heard of it, come check us out. Tonight it will be on the Twitch. Tim, can you also drop that link?
Always linked. That's twitch.tv/WGL _EN or English, because we don't speak in Pig Latin.
Yep. Well, I used to know how to speak Pig Latin, but that's a long time ago. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Tim, any last comments?
Nope. Hope you guys. To speaking to the pros, I hope you guys do well, because I need to get up, and I need to. If I don't spend this $7 this week for gold on somebody, I can actually buy some like Starbucks or something. And as much as I'm working, I need it.
Racer's a hard one to beat, and let's be honest. The thing is, so far as Tim's picked 2 pretty good fantasy players to take on, and he's done. The first night you did well, but then after that, you haven't necessarily had your had the best moments, and that's been primarily just because some teams have off nights and some teams have on nights. And you can have a team with the most on night ever, and your guy gets killed in the first 3 matches in 30 seconds, which has happened to me before. But our season before
where'd
last.
Wally? Oh, there's Wally.
No, I remember Aggressor playing for not CD. One of the teams he used to play for.
That, yeah.
And he went from being the man, and then suddenly he got focused out, and
he was dead within 30 seconds.
Yeah, no, he had 3 games in a row where he was dropped with like 16 points per match on average. Now his last 2 matches were really great, and that's great, but it puts a dent in your score. Regardless, play fantasy. It's loads of fun. We love to have you guys. Send us a message if you want to do challenges. I don't offer gold with Tim like Tim does, because I just don't have that funds right now. But feel free to talk with us, chat with us, and just let us know your thoughts.
And Yeah, bother Ted for those M60 codes. I hear he has them somewhere.
No. Everyone knows that if you want to get an M60 code, you message Ute. That's who you send them to.
Or J Smith. All right. As always, guys, it's been lots of fun. Couldn't do this without you. And oh my goodness, they're starting in 4 hours. Yikes!
Roughly.
Roughly 4 hours.
Make sure you watch the Facebook Live show. Starts around 5 o'clock Pacific time. Make sure to find that for little tips and little information ahead of time from the casters, and which is Randall, Rukiel Hokum, and James Rockstar One Greaves. It should be a fun night, guys, and we'll catch you later.
All right, and as always, thanks for stopping by.